Some of the residents have experienced cockroaches, mice in their flats. We've also had water shortages, sometimes for days at a time, sometimes just no hot water. There have been security issues, people without locks on their front doors. There's a whole range of issues, really.
And I assume these have been brought up with the Sanctuary Group?
Yes, absolutely. So we've had a series of emails that we've sent to them. We've had meetings, we've had open forums, and nothing has really been done to really tackle the root of these issues. Yeah.
Now, Tom, let's talk about the setup of student residence in SOAS. So this is halls of residence that are operated by someone else, but with permission of SOAS, is that right?
Yeah, they're operated by a private company kind of on behalf of SOAS, and just what that means is that they're not really taking students' concerns seriously. They're focused on their bottom line, on making a profit, and really not on, listening to what the Students' Union, what the Residents' Council and what the people they're providing a service for have to say about it.
In terms of a line of responsibility, they're obviously taking complaints to the people who manage the building initially, but this contract is handed down by the university to provide accommodation for their students. Is the university doing anything?
Yeah, well, we've spoken to them as well, and I'm sure they're very concerned about it. Obviously, they have a responsibility for the welfare of students, and, when we're coming up to exams and people are having to deal with these kind of issues, it's really, really stressful to not know if you're going to come back and all of your things are going to be taken from your room because there's not a working lock at the moment, or there's going to be mice crawling around in your room at night. It's really, really stressful for students. So I'm sure SOAS are taking it seriously, but they need to be working with the Students' Union and residents to make sure that, we bring this rent strike to a conclusion with the demands met, to have an apology from Sanctuary and appropriate compensation for students.
Carmel, tell me, how's it got to this point and what action is it that you're actually taking?
So, as I said, we've had a series of meetings with them, we've had open forums, but we just don't feel like they're really taking these issues seriously. The issues are usually dealt with by, for example, putting a bucket underneath a dripping roof rather than actually fixing the problems. And so right now we've decided to call a rent strike. That means that a number of students, there are about 150 right now, are choosing not to pay this current instalment of rent until our demands are met. We've asked for compensation, we've asked for a formal apology, and we've asked for greater accountability, a review of procedures, and involving residents in the decision-making processes.
OK, it's probably a good time now to bring in a statement from the people who do manage these buildings. The Sanctuary Group sent us this statement. They said that they do take all concerns raised by our tenants very seriously, making a point to address any of the issues quickly as possible. They go on to say, although there are a number of reports of pests earlier in the academic year, the site was treated, and we are pleased to confirm that we have not had any students contact us to raise concerns recently. When it was necessary to carry out planned work, we had a point of contacting students in advance, scheduling work for times when there would be less demand, when this was within our control, they said, and keeping outages to a minimum. We are concerned that a minority of our tenants may consider withholding rent without fully understanding the wider implications, and would encourage those students to consider their contractual obligations before making their decision. So a number of points to pick up on there. They say that they take concerns very seriously, they action them as quickly as they can, and when work has had to be carried out, they've done it at times that they've tried to make convenient to students. What would you say, first of all, to that?
I would say that that's absolutely not the case, that some major work has been done or inspections have been taken during the essay times, during exam times. We've raised this with them and not got a proper response as in terms of how they decide when things are done. Yeah.
And I think they talk about a contractual obligation. They also have a contractual obligation to the residents that live there, and they're really not upholding that. They say that they'll conduct all repairs once they're reported within 28 days. We had someone on the day that they moved in October say that their front door lock wasn't working, and it took months and months and months to get it fixed. They talked about kind of getting rid of the pests. It took until after Christmas when people reported on the day that they moved in that there were cockroaches in their rooms. So, I mean, if they're saying we should uphold our side of the bargain, they should uphold their side. And that's what we're asking them to do.
The issue is, of course, that with students and student accommodation is that there is no really good time to carry out work. There is no fixed schedule. People are in and working at all times of the day. Is it fair to say that works that are necessary to be carried out have an impact on students when they have to be carried out? They're always going to impact on someone.
Yes, absolutely. And emergency repairs, urgent repairs, that's something different. But things like general inspections should be taken out where possible in holidays, towards the earlier part of term when people aren't doing their essays and haven't got exams. I think it's about involving residents in decisions, about having these discussions and about not making decisions right at the top without talking to the people it really affects.
Now, Tom, how likely do you think students are to get their demands met, which is compensation and an apology?
I think it's really, really likely because, you know, this is over £100,000 in rent that we're withholding at the moment. And even of the students that paid all of their rent in a lump sum at the beginning of the year, we've got almost 250 of them signed up supporting it. So I think that there's huge support from across all of the people that live in these two halls for the demands. We're hoping that Sanctuary will meet with residents, negotiate with them, you know, as soon as possible, really, to bring this to an end.